This is after 24 hours, and we're looking at enzymatic digestion. So this is our original control crackers that nothing have happened to. Pretty solid still. They look like crackers. This is crushing plus vinegar. You can see it's kind of a mashed potato consistency, very thick. Over here is mango, and it's somewhat thick, but you can see, or I can feel here, and you can see as it moves that it's a lot more liquidy. So there's a lot more kind of squishiness happening in here, which suggests that this has been further broken down. That's the mango. You can see how easily it moves. This one doesn't really move much. It's very pasty. Here's banana, and this is very liquidy and very squishy. You can see, again, this is very easy to move around. It's very liquidy. So there's been most likely further enzymatic breakdown happening there. That might replicate something that happened in our intestine. Here's the banana peel, and you can see that while it's a little bit broken down, this is moving a lot more. It's much more thick, so there's probably more enzymes in the banana itself than there is. This is thicker, more mashed potato-y, more pasty. You can see the banana peel there. It moves much more slow. It feels thicker. Here's kiwi, and this one is extraordinarily liquid. It's almost like juice in there. As I push it, it just deforms all over the place. Very loose, very mushy. And bubbling up just a little bit. You can see some bubbles in there. So this one's definitely experienced some enzymatic breakdown. Over here is lactase. This is a little bit broke down, but honestly, this feels pretty pasty. Now, lactase primarily breaks down the lactose molecule, and there's really not any lactose or milk stuff in saltines. It's mostly just flour and salt. So while it's a little looser, and you can see that there's been some breakdown, it's really not, it's not super substantial. So that's definitely, you can see the lactase enzyme is definitely different qualitatively than what's happening in here with its really liquidy sort of situation. Over here is sourdough, so it's got bacteria in it. So this is acting like some of the bacteria, like the lactobacillus that might be in your intestines. And it's still kind of pasty, so this stuff is probably not ideal for biodegrading the crackers or the cracker paste. It's a little liquidy, but it really hasn't gone crazy well. So you can see that this is still, like as I'm moving it, it's not squishing out of the way like a really liquidy thing. It's still kind of pasty. Now the yeast are much more likely to break down some sugar or possibly some complex carbohydrates. And the lactobacillus, acidophilus, they like really acidic environments, and they also, they tend to be found breaking down lactose because that's the enzyme. So those guys have this enzyme in them. And it does look somewhat similar, but a little more loose, which means that there's some breakdown that's coming from the yeasties in there and some of the other, there's just a bunch of different bacteria in sourdough, so it's hard to say exactly what's in there. So it's a little bit liquor, but not a ton. Here's avocado. Avocado does not seem to have done a whole lot of breakdown of this enzymatically. So it's still pretty thick and pasty. It will squish, so it's a little thicker. Again, back to the right, this is just with vinegar. This is a little bit more squishy than that, but not substantially. So this is still pretty pasty looking. And the last one over here is dried papaya. And this looks fairly pasty to me. It's a little broken down, and especially right around the papaya, you can see a tiny bit of more liquidy stuff right around here. If you're looking at it, you see it. But what I'm guessing from what we're seeing here is that this dried papaya, that the enzymes were deactivated due to the heat. See how that's really just moving in a pasty way? It's not very liquidy. So I'm thinking that once the papaya went into the dehydrator, that heat in the papaya deactivated that enzyme, which can happen because enzymes have an ideal temperature setting. Some of them are pretty broad, but a lot of enzymes are very persnickety. And if you make them too hot or too cold or too acid or too not acid, then they just say, sorry, we're not working on this anymore, we're done. So that seems like what may have happened here. It would be really interesting to see if we got fresh papaya, if there was a difference, but I don't happen to have any fresh papaya in my house, and I think it might be out of season. I haven't seen any in the store. So there you go.